Hello everyone, welcome to this E-module. This E-module is about nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. I'm Dr. R. Niranjana Devi, Assistant Professor, PG and Research Department of Physics, Fatima College, Madurai. Today we are going to study two very important nuclear processes, nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. Both of these processes occur in the nucleus of an atom and they release a very large amount of energy. In fact, nuclear reactions release millions of times more energy than ordinary chemical reactions. These reactions are extremely important in modern science because they are used in nuclear power plants, atomic weapons, and they are also responsible for the energy produced by the sun and stars. So today we are going to see about the structure of an atom, nuclear fission, chain reaction, applications of nuclear fission, nuclear fusion, difference between nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. Before we discuss nuclear reactions, let's quickly recall the structure of an atom. An atom consists of three fundamental particles. They are protons, neutrons, and electrons. The protons and neutrons are located in the nucleus, which is at the center of the atom, while electrons revolve around the nucleus in different energy levels. Although the nucleus is very small, it contains almost the entire mass of the atom. Inside the nucleus, protons and neutrons are held together by a very strong attractive force called the nuclear force. When changes occur in the nucleus, a small amount of energy can be converted into energy. This is explained by Einstein's famous equation, that is E is equal to mc squared. According to this equation, even a small loss of mass can produce a huge amount of energy. This principle is the basis of nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. Let's now first understand nuclear fission. Nuclear fission is a process in which a heavy atomic nucleus splits into two smaller nuclei, releasing a large amount of energy. One of the most common examples of nuclear fission is the fission of uranium-235. When a slow-moving neutron strikes a uranium-235 nucleus, the uranium nucleus absorbs the neutron and becomes unstable. This unstable nucleus then splits into two smaller nuclei, such as barium and krypton. During this process, energy is released, two or three neutrons are emitted. These emitter neutrons can strike other uranium nuclei and cause further fission reactions. This leads to a process called a chain reaction. A chain reaction means one fission reaction causes another reaction, which then causes many more reactions. There are two types of chain reactions. They are uncontrolled chain reaction and controlled chain reaction. In uncontrolled chain reaction, in that process, the number of fissions in a given interval and the average goes on increasing. The whole substance is fissioned in a few moments. A huge quantity of energy is liberated within a very short time and is released as a violent explosion. This forms the principle of an atom bomb. And the controlled chain reaction. It is so controlled by artificial means that only one of the neutrons produced in each fission is able to cause further fission. The rate of reaction remains constant. Thus, the rate of fission is kept constant. Therefore, this process is slow and the energy is released steadily. This forms the principle of a nuclear reactor. Nuclear fission has several important applications. One of the most important applications is in nuclear power plants. In nuclear power plants, the heat produced from fission reactions is used to convert water into steam, and the steam drives turbines to produce electricity. Nuclear fission is also used to produce radioactive isotopes, which are useful in medicine, agriculture, and industry. However, nuclear fission also produces radioactive waste which must be carefully managed because it can be harmful to living organisms. Now, let's move on to nuclear fusion. Nuclear fusion is a process in which two light nuclei combine to form a heavy nucleus releasing a very large amount of energy. For example, two isotopes of hydrogen called deuterium and tritium can combine to form a helium nucleus and a neutron. During this process, a huge amount of energy is released. Nuclear fusion is actually the opposite of nuclear fission. In fission, a heavy nucleus splits. In fusion, two light nuclei combine. Fusion reactions require extremely high temperature and pressure. The temperature required is usually millions of degrees Kelvin. Because of these extreme conditions, fusion reactions do not occur easily on Earth. However, fusion reactions occur naturally in the Sun and other stars. Inside the Sun, hydrogen nuclei continuously fuse together to form helium. This process releases enormous energy, which is the source of sunlight and heat that reaches the Earth. Scientists are currently trying to develop fusion reactors that can produce clean and unlimited energy. If successful, fusion could become an important energy source in the future. Let's now briefly compare nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. In nuclear fission, a heavy nucleus splits into smaller nuclei. In nuclear fusion, two lighter nuclei combine to form a heavy nucleus. In nuclear fission, huge amount of energy is liberated. In nuclear fusion also, huge amount of energy is liberated. Nuclear fission is possible at the room temperature, but nuclear fusion is possible only at very high temperature. In nuclear fission, the products are radioactive and fission fragments are dangerous. But in the nuclear fusion, the fusion products are not non-radioactive and not much more dangerous. And nuclear fission is generally the fuel is generally in solid and liquid state, but in nuclear fusion, the fuel exists in plasma state. To summarize today's discussion, nuclear reactions involve changes in the atomic nucleus and releases large amount of energy due to mass energy conversion. In nuclear fission, a heavy nucleus such as uranium splits into smaller nuclei. In nuclear fusion, light nuclei such as hydrogen combine to form heavier nuclei. Fission is currently used in nuclear power plants, while fusion powers the sun and the stars and may become an important energy source in the future. Understanding these processes help us learn how energy is produced in nuclear reactors and in the universe. Thank you. We shall meet in the next e-module. Thank you.